Before the next episode of X Job Downloaded starts, I have a big favour to ask. If you've enjoyed any of our episodes so far, please can you click on the follow button on your platform. I'm on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon and YouTube. It costs nothing to follow, but makes a real difference to me as a podcast producer. Thank you. My name is Paul Maleary, and for 30 years I served with Essex Police. During this time I interviewed suspects for murder, abduction, rape and extortion, plus a variety of other crimes. Now I interview former police and military personnel and anybody else who has an interesting story to tell. Sit back and listen to X Job Downloaded. This interview is being tape recorded. My name is Paul Maleary and this is X Job Downloaded. And today I'm going to interview Paul Howes. Now, Paul is a former member of the Metropolitan Police and worked within the Firearms department and was also a trainer and now is in private industry. And we're going to talk about the current roles of the police service and what's going on in the political world as well, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I mean,
try not to be too extreme.
No, look, you can be as vocal as you like, mate. It's your platform, and we're all entitled to an opinion, as we keep being told by everybody else, because everyone else can have an opinion. It just seems that their opinion's more important than ours. So, but no, we'll come into that. But where did it all begin for you? Where were you born, and what was your inspiration to join the Metropolitan Police?
Well, originally, I was brought up for a few years just off the Caledonia Road in Islington. Those houses, because we lived in 3 rooms, and what makes me laugh is, I mean, my old missus comes from, I'd say she's posh. She had central heating in the 60s. We had an open fire in one room, and the kitchen was on the half landing. 4 of us in one bedroom. It was a bit of a outside toilet and all that, and she goes, "No, you didn't have that." I said, "Yeah," and we didn't have a telephone. It was down the road, but yeah. So we lived there for a little while, and then we moved to a massive council estate up in Hendon, believe it or not,
right? And
it was right next door to training school.
Oh, okay.
So from the age of 8, I used to see the cadets struggling around on what they call the K run. And so on, and see them going what's called airdrome stores, the little shop on the roundabout. From there, I used to see all them coming over, get their fags and their sweets and whatever as a youngster. But yeah, I was at junior school. They used to have, what was it called? Used to have coppers come around. You have a local quiz. I can't remember what it's called now, but got involved in that. And yeah, I want to be a police officer, but I decided I wanted to be in the army first off.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I went in the Infantry Junior Leads Battalion at 16.
Right.
Got homesick, which I don't have a problem talking about now, but I used to many years ago. Yeah, got homesick, regretted it, but got a job as a floor layer, so laying wood floors, tiles, carpets a lot, earning lots and lots of money up then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the 80s. £100 a day, and that was a lot of money then, especially when you was 18, 19, and so got stuck in with that, and but then got caught up in there was a recession in the construction industry in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Company went bust. I ended up floating around doing a little bit of security, a little bit of temping work, and then met the missus, and I was talking about what I wanted to do in the past and what I'd done and what I'd hoped to do. And I said, after I'd finished in the army, this was my plan. I was going to join the police. She said, well, why don't you? I said, I'll give it a try. But because I'd been made bankrupt because of the...
oh, did you?
Yeah, which was a big pain.
Yeah.
The police don't take bankrupts. Fair enough. But a friend of the family, who was an inspector at Peckham at the time, he said, why don't you try the specials? And I went, oh, well, they won't take me. He said, yeah, they will. So joined the specials, done 18, 20 weeks or weekends at training school, and then was posted to Bromley Division as it was then, and then got in loads of trouble because you don't get enough training as a special, but you're sent out, and I was so keen, got taken under the wing of a couple of regular coppers, so I got to learn loads of stuff. And then once I've been discharged as a bankrupt, so I joined the regulars.
Oh, good for you.
In 98. So I got back on schedule then with the help of the missus, because it was around that sort of time I was hoping to join anyway. So
it's interesting, isn't it? Because part of the I mean, they call it code of ethics or whatever you want to call it, the discipline code, was that you weren't allowed to have debt, were you? I mean, that was part of, you couldn't have a debt, and if you had a debt, then everyone had debt because they had mortgage, but I suppose they were talking about bankrupts and what have you. And we also had to get permission when I first joined to buy a house and get married. But yeah, I mean, it has changed, and not all for the good. There are some good bits, but it's not all for the good. So you join the regulars. You're an adult, aren't you? I mean, you're a grown up when you join. You've been around. You've been around
31,
the block.
31.
Yeah, and that that makes a hell of a difference when you walk into a classroom full of 20-year-olds or 21-year-olds.
Our class, well, our whole intake, I mean, we was one of the, I mean, we had A to, we were the last class, H. So A to H, and there was 20 in each class.
Right.
So we had quite a big intake, and every 6 weeks they were having big intakes, which are obviously due to come up to retirement and everything in the next few years. But there was quite a varied age group. We had your 18, your 19-year-old, but there was one guy he's ex-fireman, he was, been a station officer and everything, and he was like 52. And I said, what the hell are you doing? He said, he's drawing his pension as a fireman, and he come to Hendon.
Joined the coppers.
26 years ago. So there was a varied amount. So, but in my class, I was the eldest, but not by too much.
No.
But there was youngsters there, and there was a little bit, I'd say a clash, but there was a sort of misunderstanding of what is good and what's not good. It was getting towards that sort of generational gap. But it's
I understand what you mean, because we have a different, 10 years is a long time, 8 years, 10 years is a long time. And we all have a different view on what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
So if young Master Smith was urinating in the shop doorway 6 weeks ago and goes and joins the police and then has to deal with that, they'll think, well, that's all right because that's what I was doing 6 weeks ago. But because we come from a different generation where that wasn't acceptable, then we deal with something in a different way, and I get that. But as I say, it is. I'm sure when my dad joined the police, there was some old boy walking out the door saying, "There you go, son, the job's at it." And in the same way today, someone will be retiring, and the new one will be taking over their locker, and he'll be saying exactly the same, or they'll be saying exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit different as well for me. I come from quite I won't say rough because my mum's still alive and she'll kill me. Because it wasn't a bad childhood. We got given as much as everyone could give us.
It wasn't privileged though.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's quite funny. Before I joined the job, my dad was a butcher, and I used to have a freezer load of meat. The day I joined the job, he said, can't supply you with meat anymore. I went, why is that? He said, I just can't supply with meat anymore. I went, okay. I'll ask no more questions.
How funny is that? That's hilarious. I mean, I say it's a different culture, different world now, isn't it? How old are you?
58 in January.
Yeah, see, I'm 59, I'm 60 next year. So we're from that same sort of generation. And I think things did change and have changed. So where did you go to after doing your Hendon time? Where did you get posted to?
I went down to sunny southeast London to Greenwich, division. We were still a division.
Right.
I wanted to go to Carter Street or Brixton. That was my aim. Only because I'd heard so much that there would be so much going on. But I was happy with Greenwich. Greenwich was, as a probationer, I think it was a fantastic ground because there was so much variety. You had transient criminals coming through from the inner city, going out to the likes of Kent or even the outer boroughs to do whatever they were going to do out there. Then you had all your other bits of crime going on. There was white collar crime, there was blue collar crime, there was diversity stuff going on, everything, drugs, murder. There was such a variety of stuff. It was a real good learning place to get loads of experience. In hindsight, I think with Carter Street, Walworth as it's now, and Brixton, I think it would have been too intense as a probationer.
Yeah.
It gave you enough time. I mean, especially being a ex-special, I fell into it quite well. I mean, I was probably the first guy on the team to be on the RT car as an operator, still in my probation. Yeah. Which was unheard of then. I mean, it's totally different nowadays, but back then that was the thing. And I'd got a couple of proactive jobs together to the point where I had a covert surveillance on a location, had to view all the CCTV. Then I arranged for a surveillance team. Obviously, this is prior 9/11, so surveillance teams are always looking for, can I do a bit of training with you, sort of thing. Yeah, they treated it as training, so got the experience of briefing up surveillance teams, being part of their arrest team as well. And great little job. I mean, and that was just over theft of petrol, but they were doing 900 to $1,000's worth of petrol in one go, where their back seats were full up with. Yeah, it was quite scary. Yeah, but
that's that's good, isn't it? That's good because actually I like specials. I know there's a rub sometimes between specials and the regulars, but I think that anybody that's prepared to give up their time in order to go and police, they deserve a pat on the back. I mean, absolutely. You know, all right, you get good and bad. You get good and bad in regulars. You get good and bad in specials. That's life. But I think they do a remarkable job given the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, there's some, just like as you say in the regular job, there is some, how can I put this, people that are different to ourselves. I'm trying to be so polite, and it's the same in the specials. There's some really top-notch people there that want to do policing and would make really good regular coppers, but they're also, in some cases, are earning a hell of a lot of money doing their day job.
They can't afford to.
Exactly. And then they get the, and this is the thing, the fun of doing police work, because I shouldn't really say this on here, should I really? But police work is fun.
It is fun.
I mean, damn scary some days, but you have a real good laugh about the scary stuff, I must say. But
people would pay money to do what we did.
Yeah.
They really would.
There's a great story of when I was talking to a couple of guys on the ALVs when I was training down at Milton. They had a guy from the army in the back, let's just say, leave it at that.
Yeah.
And he got so excited, and this guy had done absolutely everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sitting in awe, and he's going, "Oh, this is great. Never done this before." He's on a blue light run, and he was getting all excited about blue light runs. Yeah, can we do that again? And you think, oh wow, you've done all what you've done, and then you're coming to our world, and everyone else going, "Oh, blue light run, I've got to have those bloody two tones on, are going to give me a headache." It's
I agree. I mean, I spoke to Steve Thornton, your mucker, and it's policing is an international language. Doesn't matter where you are, and I do get. I mean, I watch social media, like all of us, And I do get a little bit despondent with some of the, I'm having a terrible time, blah, blah, blah. Well, do you know what? Go and work at Tesco's. If it's that bad, if it's eating you that much, make your decision. But, of course, a lot of them won't because they're not having that bad a time and they're still earning reasonable money given what's going on. And I find it very frustrating.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we said before. Some of it's a different generation, but there are people of our sort of age that are saying it's not the same. And I know you get to that. You have those time periods in your service. It's like your first 7 years you're learning. Your next 7 you're like, yeah, I'm the top notch. I know what I'm doing. And then after that, it's all about preparing for your pension.
Yeah.
Don't get me in trouble and all that sort of stuff. But there are guys that are saying that and this is all different ranks. This is not just PCs. This is across the board that are sort of upset the way things are. And in some cases, I'm going to use the word, almost a witch hunt. There's people being stuck on for stuff which would have normally been give you a bollocking and
be done with. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Get out of my office, and if I see you in 6 months, it'll be worse. And they're facing gross misconduct, and a lot of them are getting chucked out.
Yeah. But
it's the time it's taken as well. One guy, use of force, and he sent me what he'd used the use of force he'd done, and I read through it, and it was about tasering, and I thought, taser instructor, firearms instructor, OST instructor, should know what I'm looking at. And I went, that sounds brilliant. Fantastic set of notes. I said, so what's the problem? He said, they're threatening me with this and they're threatening me with that. I said, there's nothing wrong there. If a man on the street read that, or anyone on the street read that document or that statement, they would go, wow, is that all he did? I would have done worse than that.
Yeah.
And that's how I was looking at it. But it took, I think it was 18 months for them to decide that there was no further action. There was nothing for him to sort of be worried about or get punished for. And he's like, but it totally demoralised him. And I think that's where the problem lies. It's not, policing hasn't changed. That you're still dealing with the types of customers, I'm being polite, the type of customers that we've always dealt with that will always try and have one over on you or get you make a malicious complaint. But it's when the malicious complaints are being, common sense is not being applied, I think is the best thing to say.
But we're not blessed with the best judiciary, are we? You only have to look what happened with that PC that arrested the woman that was violent on the bus.
Yes.
And he gets convicted by a district judge, and the same district judge had convicted 6 former police officers for sending inappropriate text messages and locks them up, yet allows a handful of women wearing pro-Palestinian terrorist regalia, he lets them walk out of court without anything happening. Now, talk about, well, let's put it this way, discriminated against, because the judiciary, he in particular, has discriminated against the police. He'd already made his mind up what he was going to do, yet he'll let 3 people that are terrorist sympathisers walk off into the sunset. And that just, and the coppers, I can see why they become demoralised and they want to get out. And PSDs and the IOPC, well, they need revising.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to, whereabouts did you police? Did you go?
I was in Essex. I was in Essex. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we had a particular stipendiary district judge down in the southeast called Mr. Cooper. What?
David Cooper. David Cooper was my dad. My dad worked for him in a firm of solicitors. I've known David Cooper most of my life. His son, Nick, is a barrister at Greenwich Crown Court. And David, they used to call him Custody Cooper. Yeah,
exactly. Amount of people you'd nick and they go, oh, please, Mr. Howes, please don't take me in tonight. Please no, because I know what'll happen. The skipper won't give me bail," he said, "and he'll send me straight to court. And Tuesday's Mr. Cooper's going to be there."
Yeah.
And I got told next time I'm in front of me, he's going to give me 6 months.
Yeah.
"Oh, please." And if someone went up in front of Mr. Cooper and they'd assaulted a police officer whilst doing whatever they did, he would go, "You cannot assault one of my officers." It was like, we got Mr. Cooper on our side. He'll look after us.
He was lovely.
But
he was a good defence. He was a good defence lawyer as well, because he was a very balanced man.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he was very fair, and that was. I think most of the time, the bad guys know. Our customers, let's call them customers. Our customers, they know it's a game, don't they?
Of course they do.
And the old sweat.
Yeah.
Criminals,
yes,
they go, "Oh yeah, fair cop, all right, what's going to happen?" And they'll talk to you, and they know it's a game. They know what's going to happen at court. They know whether they're going to go down and whether they're going to tell you stuff. But then you get some of them that just want to kill you, basically.
Oh yeah, and they do. Anyway, so you're in Greenwich. What was the inspiration to go into the firearms world? Did you go from Greenwich to firearms?
Yes, I did. Well, I'd seen 19 do loads of stuff that with different jobs that you have, and a few of the other. I wanted to do firearms. My big thing was drive fast cars and be a firearms officer. So, being that I was quite proactive, I got me RT course, area car course, with under 4 years service, which was good going. And because one of my team was ex-close protection, it was actually special branch at the time, or had been special branch, I wanted to go into close protection. But I had a big, nasty crash. I mean, proper crash. If they say you're going to have one, have a big one, which it was, which resulted in 5 days at Crown Court and the like, which leads on to why I do so much stuff with, or have a great interest in Trojan and what people are going through.
Right.
After I came out of that, I was totally demoralised, to be perfectly honest. 19 came out. One of my skippers was about to go for it, having come back, having been a PC and come back out onto team as a skipper, and he was going to go and do it. And DPG came out as well. But I was so, as I say, so demoralised that I thought, I just don't think I've got the confidence to go for 19. I went for DPG, got that, and moved in 2005 over to DPG on the firearms side.
And what office were you at? Were you Apex?
I was at Cannon Row, the old A2 building, which is now the Yard, the new Scotland Yard. So our base was, well, one lot was in the basement or sub-basement, and our base itself was up on the top floor. So we could see right into the street, actually.
Oh, could you? Yeah. I did an interview with Stephen Burke, who was he was a duty sergeant there. He happens to be my cousin, and he took me. I can't remember what year it was, but Remembrance Day Parade, we stood in Downing Street, in the entrance of Downing Street. Nobody else was there, and right by the cenotaph. It was absolutely amazing. But yeah,
it is an interesting place to be. I find it really, really interesting. Getting to go to some places that members of the public would or only dream of getting into. And on our night duty, sitting in number 10 watching videos in case anything happens outside, because no one's outside, so you don't have to stand outside. So you go and sit indoors and just sit there waiting. I'll put the video on while we're keeping an eye on the what's going to go on outside. But security guards there watching the screens. They'll tell you, someone's going up the road. Okay, you go out.
Yeah. And nobody's going to come through the roof.
Well,
you hope.
Don't say anything about that.
Yeah.
That's happened before.
Yeah, I'm sure. How long were you on there on DPG?
I was on. Well, didn't do posts. I did posts for about full time for about 5.5 years, because I trained as an officer safety instructor and got that in 2001.
Right.
So just after me coming out of probation. And they were after part-time trainers in the to do OST for the guys. That then became a permanent role, so I would then only go on post for overtime, which I did quite a lot of, twice a week.
Yeah.
So, but then I was on the training unit doing OST. Then got my first aid instructor's certificate. I ran what was called the overt protection course for a little while. So anyone coming to the DPG had anything from, depending on which area you joined at, it would either be 2 weeks or a week's worth of input around how it works, about diplomatic immunity, the Vienna Convention, and all that sort of stuff, as well as doing OST and first aid.
Oh wow! Yeah, you forget about all the diplomatic protection and all the other bits that go along with it.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people, they slate the DPG for being lazy and its doors, porches, and gates. But it's not just that. They are out and about in all weathers.
Oh.
The only bikers that go out at night, and most of the time they're out in all weathers on their bikes. They turn up to absolutely everything that goes on.
Yeah.
But everyone refers to them. Oh yeah, all they do is just stand on a gate there. But yeah, I mean, there's been attacks on Parliament, and they've been the first deployed.
Yeah. Doing
stuff. American Embassy. Last time someone drove at that, they've done their job. There was some things around training, but they dealt with the situation. And actually, I was working with Lobby on the desk at the time, and we were talking about extractions from vehicles, because they did an extraction from the vehicle,
right?
Which they've never been taught per se, and they done it, just worked through it, and they was thinking on their feet. So they are very, very good, and there's a lot of skills there. People think they're just, as I already said, the lazy so-and-sos, but there are ex-flying squad detectives, or what's flying squad detectives, he's retired now. Believe it or not, there's ex-special forces, there's paras, Marines, all this background, even, I said special forces guys. So they're not exactly...
No, they're not shrinking violets, are they?
No, they're not. And that's probably the best way to put it. But seen it, done it, and not bothered.
I mean, you only have to look at the issues where the officer was killed in the yard at the Palace of Westminster.
Keith.
Yeah, Keith Palmer.
Did a lot of training with Keith.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, he's part of, because the DPG, when it became Pad P, amalgamated with the old, I can't remember what they were, but whatever Parliament palaces were down there, I can't remember the number they got allocated, and so we had an unarmed side as well. So they would train with our guys, because they end up with firearms. Well, it's changed a lot since Keith died, but before that they had certain patrols going on, which is quite controversial, but that's by the by. So Keith had the same officer safety, first aid training as the firearms guys, and being what he was, ex-TSG, top guy, and he was there ready to take on that threat.
And he did, and he paid with his life, and this gets lost in the popular media when they're spending their whole lives slagging the old Bill off. Exactly.
Yeah. Keith was a lovely guy, and it was a shame.
Yeah,
but
very sad.
It's these things happen.
Yeah. too often at the moment, I'm afraid. But
Yeah.
and this, this will bring us on to the thin blue line badge. I mean, you've put a poll on LinkedIn. Do you support it? Don't you support it? I mean, I've got a view. Get that blue lamp out. When I was a youngster, you couldn't have anything on your tunic. You could, other than a poppy. The only thing you could have on your uniform was a poppy. Now, and I do see some officers, and they're lit up like Christmas trees. They've got more bloody.
Mm.
But the badge, I haven't got my thin blue one, but I've got my poppy one here. The badge, what that is, that stands for unity. It's the solidarity of officers who support those people that have given their lives in the execution of their duty in order to keep us safe. Nothing more, nothing less. There's no political affiliation to it. I mean, what is your overall view around that?
I mean, that poll came out of me being a little bit angry more than anything. I wasn't doing social media and drunk, which is a big no-no for anybody.
Yeah.
But I was just reading through, and I was getting upset with the commissioner with him saying that they couldn't wear it, but then other counties and BTP and other forces were allowing it, and there was a failure to understand what you just said around the unity. It's there to remember all those guys that have, the likes of Keith and others that have given their lives over the years whilst doing their job. Yeah. As simple as that. We swear a loyalty to the Crown when we take our attestation. So that's the flag. That represents that. Yeah. The line going through it, that's because not necessarily blue now, but the uniform in the past was a blue colour, and it was there was never enough of us to go around. So hence, like the old the going back to in history about red coats and the thin red line and all that, but that's our thin blue line through there, and that's how we remember. It's become a way of remembering those poor so-and-sos that didn't make the 6-month club, basically. I can understand where they're coming from. Uniform standards. But if there's going to be uniform standards, we can't have anything. And that includes, and don't anyone ever listening to this take the wrong way, we can't have pride stuff. We can't have any other thing that associates with any other affiliation with absolutely anything. Or I like this because it's prostate cancer, or I have this because it's Macmillan's, or it's I can't remember what the pink bow is. One of those. Breast cancer. We don't have any of that, and no one wears anything like that at all. And we have a bog standard. That's your uniform. Yeah. But if we're going to allow one thing, and which has been allowed in the past, then we've got to have an understanding. The reason why the guys are wearing it. It's not a political statement. No. Because there's a confusion with the Americans and because this is all coming out in all the debates about Black Lives Matter. That's a political organisation that has found its roots in the States and was about American policing. It wasn't about British policing. Everybody seems to muddle these up. What happens in the States happens in the States. They police totally different to us. Yes, they do. And they always will. But it's the politicisation. It could be the pride badge. It could be the PC that was serving at the pro-Palestinian march near Kensington Palace Gardens, who decided that she was going to chirp up and start showing her support for that march. Now, I'm not being funny, but nothing ever happened to that officer, despite the fact that that was a political statement that was being made. Yet they'll cancel
The red, white, and blue. The flag is the Union flag, the Union Jack as we knew it. That's the Union flag. That shows unity through the nation. The blue line shows that we are in mourning or that we're supporting those people that have lost their lives. Now, the irony of all of this is that they make that announcement on the day they unveil the memorial for Sergeant Ratner down in the custody area where he was killed. Now, that is the irony. Why would you do that? Why would you say with one hand you look at this lovely memorial, we'll remember this person's life, and then say, oh, and by the way, boys and girls, you cannot wear the badge. Now, as I say, my old governor, go back to 1986, 87, my old governor would say nothing other than a poppy on your tunic or on your... But the world's changed. So they need to... If they ban the poppy, mate, there'll be absolutely... there'll be outrage. There'll be... The public, they think the public are on their backs now. The public will be all over that. Mind you, last year, Westfields at Stratford, there were no poppy sellers there. Really? No poppy sellers.
That's a shame.
Unbelievable. But then I suppose the demographics, most of the people in there wouldn't even know there'd been a Second World War.
Well, possibly not. I mean, I'm a great follower of who served in the British Empire and the like. So there's a lot of people around that you don't think are or are patriotic because of where they come from. But there are a lot of people that.
I agree.
And I raise my hat to them if I wore one, and say, yeah, well done, brilliant. You are as British as anyone else.
I agree.
It's so. I think the problem is probably because of a minority with regards to the political statement that a poppy can make to some people.
Yeah.
It doesn't to me. I mean, that's just there to remember the reason why I can now be gobbing off on here.
Yeah.
And not have the Nazis or the communists doing whatever they were going to do. But yeah, it is a shame for whatever reason that was. That is a shame. It is a shame because that should never be forgotten. I mean, I'm just like yourself of an age where I remember talking to ex-World War I veterans in their 80s and World War II veterans. I just remember my dad used to belong to a ex-servicemen's club up in Hendon, and as it was the 80th anniversary of Arnhem, I remember one of his mates, he was an ex-Gren Guard, massive bloke, absolutely massive, and he was Market Garden, one of the guys that went up the road, and I remember him talking to me about it, and it was amazing. Well, what he wanted to say, obviously he didn't tell about the hell that he'd gone through, but they were remarkable people, weren't they? And we should never forget, I'm going to a funeral on Friday of Don Shepherd, who was 104, and he passed away a couple of weeks ago, and I interviewed him. He was my third podcast, and he had me in tears. He read the dedication out in his front room, and I was in tears. And it's just, but they're remarkable people, and we shouldn't forget them, and we should never forget the police officers that have given their lives in order to make sure that we can sleep safe at night. And I'm disappointed in Mark Rowley. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by him or the senior management in the Metropolitan Police because they don't want to offend anyone. They've got. I never thought I was going to say this, but I'm going to say it. They've got a bloody difficult job. Of course they have. I mean, that's why they get paid the big bucks, though, mate. I could do that job. But then you sit down and you think they're being pulled from pillar to post by politicians, by members of the public, by people that have got more of a louder voice than others. and they're trying to please everybody all the time, and you can't do that. I think they're by doing that, they're making the police political, whereas if we were apolitical, right, going, no, this is what the law says, this is what we're enforcing, okay, that we're doing that. If we stuck to our guns on that and didn't have any sort of affiliations, and this goes down the lines of having different associations. I know why we have the associations, and they do a fantastic job, but they should just be there as support. They shouldn't have a political say. We should, how can I put this? We should be supporting all our officers in what they do, but they are there as police officers to uphold the sovereign's peace and enforce the laws of the country, and that's what our job should be, not batting off politics and getting on with it.
But some of these associations are busying themselves to become political. Now, the police service have got a federation. Whatever we may think, they've got a federation. Maybe they're not representative enough, because these individual groups that are politicising the police, maybe they should be or should have a bigger part within the federation, because that would give everybody a fair voice. But at the moment, if one association shouts louder than the other, then they get left by the, and then all of a sudden there's institutional racism or homophobia, or the federation need to get a grip of the different associations and work with them in order to be more inclusive.
Yes, most definitely. And I think that would probably reduce the politicalisation. Yeah, let's have that as a word. Yeah. Politicalisation of the police. And that's what it is. Whereas instead of coppers being allowed to get on, and coppers, they are part of the general public. So you will always have problems. Yep. They will always, no matter what rules you bring in or what training you give these people, they will always be the same demographic as the people that you recruit them from.
Yeah.
And the only thing that keeps the police together is the fact that they are all coppers. It doesn't matter what colour they are, what religion they are all coppers, and they will experience the same things. They will end up having the similar sort of outlooks on stuff. But then you bring the politics into it, and it starts causing problems amongst people.
Yeah, it does.
Although, if we're going to talk about, go slightly off tangent of talking about different things around that sort of thing, with regard to ticking certain boxes, why do we have to have a certain demographic? Okay, yeah, we're keeping everybody happy, but why not allow people in that are going to be good at the job? And that's irrelevant of what boxes they tick. I've always said that I don't care who stands next to me. They could be one-legged alien that's pink with polka dots. But if they're going to stand next to me when it kicks off in a pub, all right, and I know they're going to defend me and I'm going to defend them, I don't care. No. I really don't care. I don't care what you do in your own bedroom, what colour you are, what God you say you pray to. I don't care. No. You're a police officer and you're there with me. And that's what, and I think 99% of police officers would say the same.
I agree. I think that the race for diversity is a sacrifice for quality sometimes. Now, it doesn't need to be like that, because there are fantastic people that come from a diverse background who just need to have the opportunity to come into the police. But at the moment, it just seems that if you queue up at the front door and you want a job and you come from a certain background, then guess what? You'll get the job, irrespective of your abilities or qualities. Now, that I'll get shouted down for that, and I I don't apologise, because I just think that it's something that is never said. It's never said because people go, "Oh yeah, you're racist. You're I'm none of the above. I'm absolutely none of the above, and I just want to have quality white people alongside me, as well as quality black and Asian and gay. It doesn't matter. I just want quality people alongside me. So you're on the DPG. Did you go into firearms training from there?
Yes, actually, I was back in 2007. They recruited AFOs to go to become firearms instructors, and then they did the same around about 2018, 2019.
Right.
Because there's what's called the CARDA.
Yeah.
Pre-CARDA, where you go and do the instructor shoots, you do the big exam, and if you pass all that, you go and do your instructor's course. But as AFOs, we had, that's ARVs and CTSFOs, but AFOs, we had to do additional shooting, we had to do additional tactics. And there was about a week or so of, I wouldn't say being beasted, that's wrong, but you got put through your paces of all your knowledge about tactics and everything like that, and then you went and did the pre-CARDA. So you had a pre-CARDA, and that's without the stuff that you'd done beforehand to get selected for it. So by the time you get to do your instructor's course, there was two AFOs from DPG, me and John, and the rest were, there was one CTSFO, and the rest were ARVs. And I mean, we got ripped out of us big time. Oh, you're AFOs, you're this and that. But by the end of the 11-week course, we were pals. We were all mates.
Yeah.
And there was, we didn't know AFOs could do that. And there would be certain tactics that they didn't do that we did. And that was it. How do I do this? I've got to teach this. Oh, right. Okay. This is how you do that. So yeah, it was interesting, but got over, because I only had about 3 years to go before I said I was going to retire, because I was going at 25 years, because it eventually worked out really good financially, but I'm thinking it's a young man's game, being any sort of copper really, out on the streets. And they said, oh, you'd have to do a ARV course within the 3 years, but as you're retiring, that probably ain't going to happen. So I just went down on the AFO desk and did AFO TAC refs, did courses, did some manning up on other desks, staffing up on other desks, doing stuff with the close protection teams and that. Having done OST for 3 or 4 years for the protection team, so I knew quite a few of them that did that. I must say I do miss being down at Gravesend doing that.
What was your inspiration? I mean, 25 years, I get it, because you're always looking over your shoulder. You think professional standards are going to turn up and some spurious allegation. Now, you said that you spent 5 days in Crown Court as a defendant.
I was being prosecuted, yes, for dangerous driving. It was quite a surreal thing. Was going to, it came about from going to an urgent assistance. Now, urgent assistance, as you probably well know, there's people that call urgent assistance, and then there's people that call urgent assistance. This particular one was that they never call urgent assistance, and it was for a guy running about with a gun in Deptford at the time, who'd been on briefings and everything, and these guys never call for assistance. We called it up, and I was in a 2-car convoy. Someone decided to turn right between the lead car and the rear car, and I was the rear car. So impacting at 70. Lucky to get out. Well, I mean, there's some funny stories about it, really. I laugh Well, keep me sane, actually, because it was a horrible experience. They always said stay in the car because they might have back injuries, and my back did hurt when we crashed because horrible.
Yeah.
And just remember, I must have passed out because my mate was in the middle of the road. But how he got there, I don't know.
Wow.
But then this big hand comes through, big traveller guy, and he goes, "You got to get out of the car." I said, "No, my back's bad. You're going to have to cut me out," sort of thing. And he goes, "The car's on. Right, then get me out. So I get out and I look around. It looked like the bomb had gone off. It looked absolutely horrible. Because I thought I was all right, and then that's it. I fell on the floor and got taken round the corner, out the way of all the mess. I must have been going in and out of consciousness because I only remember certain bits. And I'm laying on the floor, and it was middle of June, beautiful day actually. And I'm just laying there, and I said, "Oh, we're going to cut your clothes." I said, "Oh, I had fine. Brand new boots out, brand new uniform that day, right? Brand new public order boots I was wearing in to go public order training again." And I said, "Oh, don't cut me epaulets off. I paid £5 for them because I had embroidered epaulets." And then I'm just laying there looking up, and I went, "Oh, it's getting cold and it's gone dark." And as I've said that, this beautiful face appears, female face appears in my thing. She went, "Shut up, you're laying on the cold concrete and I've just put sunglasses on you to stop the sun getting in your eyes." It's me thinking I'm dying. And she was, because it was so close to Woolwich Hospital at the time, like, she said, "I'm just a doctor on my way to work and I'm looking after you." Oh, thanks. I'm meeting my maker.
I've gone to heaven.
Yeah. So I laugh about that because it's the only thing that really gets me through that, because it's not a nice situation to be in.
Where did you go to court?
Go on, sorry.
Where did you go to court?
I went to Bow Street, Horseferry Road, and then Southwark Crown. I went to number 1 court at Bow Street, and I don't know whether you've ever been to, but it's not there anymore. Obviously, it's a museum. But when it was Bow Street Magistrates Court, it was an old style lumber concrete with stairs in the middle of the court and a set of railings that you grabbed hold of. Magistrate said, "What are you doing in front of me? You shouldn't be here. Get out." So I went out, got sent to Horseferry Road a couple of weeks later, got put in the high security terrorist magistrates court. So it was all bulletproof windows and everything. Got a security guard sitting next to me, and he goes, "Oh, what are you in here for, mate?" I said, "Oh, dangerous driving." He said, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" I said, "I was a policeman, and I was driving a police car." And he went, "What the effing hell are you doing in here then?" I went, "Oh, because they take me to court." So, and then I spent 5 days at Crown Court, and they retired on the Thursday afternoon to decide what was going to happen. Then obviously it's quite interesting, go off on a tangent slightly, how the courts work, how they all know each other. The judges know the barristers, and barristers know each other, and it's all about talking. They all talk to each other, and it's their job. It's a game to them, but they're chatting away and keeping each other happy and whatnot. So, have a meeting with a barrister after the court's been adjourned, and he says, "You better bring a bag tomorrow, because I don't think you're going to get a custodial." And I was like, Jesus, I got my missus in bits. My dad was there, and it's like, oh my God. So I went home, had a brilliant night's sleep, came back the next day, and the judge had been nice because I didn't have to sit in the box. I was allowed to come forward and sit on one of the desks, because the first day I was in there, all I could hear was the cells down below. It was quite a situation to be in. So yeah, when the court came back in, and the head juror stands up and they go for how do you, in regards to the offence of dangerous driving, how do you find a defendant? And it was like time stood still, and then you hear not guilty, and the judge goes, you're free to go. But he had to say that 4 times to me, because I was like a total shock. Wasn't nice at all.
No.
Yeah, I went through some other crap with the job about driving as well. So, yeah, it was.
How were the Federation with you, through that time? How did you fare with the Feds?
My Federation reps, I had 2 Federation reps. It was Tony Lawler and Graham Roberts. Graham Roberts was our local, based at Greenwich, and Tony came over from Tower Hamlets. And he was a top-notch guy, Tony. Backed me up 100%. He knew all the solicitors and the barristers and whatnot by first names as well. We had Reynolds Dawson, and Mr. Reynolds was my solicitor, and what a lovely man, absolute lovely man. Not because he got me off, but because he did probably 110% of what he had to do, and yeah, it was great. But then the job became a little bit nasty afterwards. I mean, on the day, DPS shook my hands. We ain't going to do anything. Brilliant. Trafpole skipper came up. Governor, not the skipper, because the skipper had retired. He was horrible. He was horrible. Even his team hated him. Kent Police hated him as well. A load of Kent coppers for doing a Taxley Heath, because he'd come over the border and done a tea-back, and he basically stuck them all on for dangerous driving. But his team hated him, and basically his team used to wait for a phone call from used to phone Kent Police up and say he's on his way home, because he lived in Kent, and they used to follow him home, see if he did anything wrong, because they were going to nick him. He never did anything wrong.
No.
He did everything to the T. But even the barrister, when he put the the skipper in the box to give evidence, he came back and he swore, and I don't know how you've ever heard someone who speaks very good English and very posh swear. He came out and he went, "That man is an absolute C-U-N-T." He said the word, and when he did it, it's like, did he say that word? But it's so strange the way the word came out. I bet he was. Yeah, horrible man. But anyway,
that's that's stressful, though, isn't it?
Oh, it was very, very stressful, and I always wanted to get my driving ticket back, and all I had was a 3-year ban, 10 points, and an instant 3-year suspension. Be a check test at the end of it. But I got contacted, and I went on what's called a DIPS course. Quite apt. Driver improvement program scheme, which was run by DAC and a chief inspector at the time, and it was basically they were going to do some additional driving for you, make you a better driver, etc. And it was, yeah, you're going to come on this. So I had to go and see the governor, where he worked. I'm not going to say where he worked because it would give it away. But he had a couple of guys that were going to do the assessing for him as well. And this sergeant went for me, absolutely verbally went for me. I thought I should have had a friend in the room because it was so bad. He said, "You shouldn't have driven like that. You were driving like this. You were driving like that." And I went, "But I've just been found not guilty of court. All right. I've made mistakes. That's what I'm here for." But he went on and on and on. I thought, oh, great. So the governor calms it down. He says, "Look, I'm taking some notes. I can see what's happened and how you feel about it and everything." He said, "We'll do a program." Okay, fine. That was like in the March. In July, which was when 7/7 happened, the bombs went off. All hell broke loose in the UK, I contacted him and said, what's going to happen? He said, oh, nothing's going to happen. He said, you just do your suspension and you'll do a check test and you'll get your license back. I went, oh, right, okay, fine. He said, because we haven't got the time now because of what's going on. Fine. I end up going back to DP. I've got to go to DPG, send a 728 up saying what's happening, etc. Then I get pulled in front of my duty officer at the time, or his acting duty officer. He shouldn't be sending 728s up the line. It should be going through here and here and all these different procedures you should have done. And he said, we've had this report back. And he said, if we'd known that you were like this, I said, like what? He said, what this report says. I said, what's the report say? He said, oh, you can't see it. I went, all right, okay, let's leave it there. Straight on to Tony, my federate, bum, tell him you're allowed to see it, you can read it. And when I read it, eventually, when I got it sent to me, basically said I showed no morality for the accident or anything. And I went, what? Absolutely devastated by it. Basically said I've got to do all my courses again. And I went, well, I ain't going to drive anything ever again, which was stupid because so 6 months later, after I've been walking everywhere, I went, Sarge, any chance of being a B basic? There you go. Yeah, I'll get that for there. But I end up doing a 2-hour check test. Not for a Billy Basic. No one ever does a check test like that. It's normally just drive around the comments. Yeah, right, you didn't hit the curb, you didn't crunch your gears, you passed. Oh, I did 2 hours. It was like I was on a advanced course test day. It's unbelievable. Just be basic. So.
What was that like? You're on DPG for 7/7. Were you working on the day?
No, I wasn't on DPG for 7/7. I joined in the October 2005. So there'd obviously been major changes at DPG with different things going on. No, I literally, I think I was doing my firearms course, or just about to go on my firearms course. So yeah. But I was just trying to get my life sorted before I went up there. But yeah.
How did you?
Yeah, went on for a couple of years.
How did you get involved with the Trojan stuff? What was the inspiration of that?
Lobby was my firearms instructor for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And then when I went down to Milton, because it's Milton, it's firearms, Gravesend if it's public order.
Right.
So if you ever hear that, it's the same place. It's just fun. So when I went down to Milton, I got posted the same desk that Lobby was on. Got chatting with him, and Lobby had a few problems, which he's probably told you about.
Yeah.
And he starts setting up Trojan, and then I keep talking to him, make sure he's all right and everything. And then he asked me, he said, would you like to be a trustee? And I went, I was in absolute awe, and why do you want to pick me? I'm just a mere PC sort of thing. What I've done? Obviously, I've shown him that I can do stuff, and he's happy for that. So yeah, then that was last April, May, that time last year.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's a good cause, and it's a great idea. And I hope that it gets the traction that it deserves. I mean, I see his stuff out and about, and as I say, I've had him on here.
He's doing a great job. The man is. He will never accept it, but he should get some sort of award to say you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Robbie, well done, thank you, sort of thing.
It's hard, isn't it? Because he should get an award, but the likes of you and I should be putting these people up for these awards, because nothing happens otherwise.
Well, maybe that might happen.
Yeah. What's
maybe that might happen.
25 years was always your desired exit point. When did 25 years come about? 2013?
July last year. July last year was my 25.
Oh, 2023. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 31st of July. Well, 13th of July was the date, but I went on the 31st of July, get to the end of the month and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so left. Yeah, that was it really. And Missy said, "Oh, don't look for a job until you've left." But I will say to anyone that's retiring, 6 months before you retire, start looking for a job.
Yeah.
If that's your plan, because it takes absolute age.
Yeah, don't wait until don't wait, because it takes a while, and these employers are fickle. You know, if you say, I can do it on this day, and you can't, or it's a very difficult one to gauge. But yeah, you've got to get involved a lot earlier, get your LinkedIn profile sorted out, and everything else, and make sure that you don't put sweary words on your social media, because they do look at that as well. And it's quite a complicated thing now. So you leave in July 2023, and you went and worked for the Environment Agency to start off with?
I didn't go to the Environment Agency until October.
Right. I see you had a couple of months off.
Yeah, well, I set up we got a caravan with decking, I call it, down at Pevensey Bay Holiday Park. I'm going to give it a little boost. It's in a beautiful site, literally on the beach.
Right. And
it's 5 minutes from where we live. So we let that out. So I settled that up. So which has been a bit of a godsend. I didn't realise how popular it would be.
It's yours, is it? It's your.
Say that again.
It's your pitch, and you rent it out.
Yeah, cool. I spent 85 grand, I think it was, of my lump sum on buying it, setting it all up, and getting it all prepared. And we let it out through Booking.com, Airbnb, word of mouth, all that sort of stuff.
You should stick it on my services site.
On your what site?
My services site, xjobservices.com.
I might have to find that.
Have a look at it. There's a free of charge point of entry, and I also put it on I've got a travel site just for former police and military personnel to advertise their properties on, and that's on Facebook. But if you do the first one, I'll put it automatically on the second.
Brilliant. I'll have a look at that afterwards, Paul. That's great, mate.
And you can do that. It'd be my pleasure.
We're reasonable. Don't get me wrong. We're reasonable, and it's got Wi-Fi. It's got a lovely. I mean, the site itself. It's got an indoor pool, little gym, bar, restaurant, Perfect. Entertainment. 2 minutes from the beach, literally, and you've got Pevensey Bay itself with its pubs and restaurants one way, which is about a 15-minute walk. Then you've got the harbour, which is 15-minute walk the other way. And then there's a bus stop literally outside.
Nice.
There's the main entrance that can take you straight into. You can go one way. You can go Bexhill, Battle, and all those places, or you can go into the centre of Eastbourne or Brighton, all those places. And there's fantastic. There's a bus called the 12X. My wife's been on it. £2, and you get all the way to Brighton. Stops right outside the pier.
Wow.
But it's got a fantastic route that it goes across the Seven Sisters, Beachy Head.
Yeah.
And the views are absolutely fantastic. If you've never been across there, it's out of this world. So
cool. Yeah, no, put it on there. And as I say, it's a repository for former police and military personnel to advertise their businesses. And we've got a free of charge entry point, and then there's you have to pay if you want to do the other stuff, because there's bandwidth and videos and that involved. But it's good. It's good, and it's popular as well. So you're doing that, and that's busy. But of course, you're now getting into the winter time. Do you still let it out in the winter?
Yeah, I mean we had someone in. They went early because the rain and everything yesterday, but we got like a 10-day period where we haven't got anybody in, and then we're fully booked right up to Christmas and over Christmas.
Wow.
And then I've let it out to a mate of mine for 6 weeks.
Nice.
After Christmas, because it has to shut down for 2 weeks.
Sure.
It does the end of February, and then we're getting loads and loads of
start again
people booking already for 2025.
Perfect.
So it was a very good investment. It's helped through different stages when work has been a bit light and whatnot. But yeah, it's it's good.
So you did that. Then you went to the Environment Agency.
Yes, so I went to the Environment Agency as a fisheries enforcement officer.
How was that? I can see by that wry smile on your face, it wasn't the most exciting part of your life.
It was a 3-minute commute, which was fantastic. But you were covering the whole of Sussex and half of Hampshire and the Isle of Wight. I'm going to try and be polite about this. How can I be polite? By January, I started in October. By January, I don't let this be known, but I'm going to let it be known now. I wanted to leave. I didn't like being there, and I was looking for stuff. And I've been in touch with Mick and Andre, the MS Solutions. I'd done a course with them and was planning on doing some weekends and doing some assessing work. And then the sort of training stuff that came out, it was going to be my little slush fund for holidays and the nicer things in life, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I was still on a probationary period there with the Environment Agency. But I don't think I didn't fit there, if I'm totally honest. I couldn't stop being a copper.
No.
I was told policing is different to enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know how to use the caution. I didn't know how to say it. And back in the day, I would guarantee at least one body a day. My record was 5 in one day. Every day I was in it. That's why I got my RT call so early, because I was Mr. Proactive, always out there nicking people. Not just nicking them for winding them up, but yeah. So yeah, not TSG style. Yeah, so I had my probation extended, so did the other guy. But then August, got told, I had my review, basically got those excuses I've just given you, I'm going to have to let you go. I went, wow. I wasn't happy about it, but because it brought on the pains a bit.
It's a pride thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so, but I thinking about it now, I quite honestly think they've got rid of me. I don't know whether they got rid of the other bloke, because I didn't really get on with him. But if you're listening, mate, I'm sorry. I didn't like the way you treated me. But anyway, that's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was, get out of that. And it caused a few problems, set myself up again.
So what are you doing now? You're doing M&S Solutions now? Yeah,
I'm working with them. I'm an associate at the moment.
Right.
So I've been putting together situational awareness and behavioural detection course.
Right.
That can be used for like we do a lot of work with stewards.
Okay.
So level 2, level 3 spectator safety courses and stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
So this situational awareness stuff, we put together a course that can be given to anybody, and it's just an overview. I mean, we're not teaching them behavioural detection. I mean, that's a 5-day course with loads of practical stuff. This is just to sort of like go, if you see certain things or they're doing certain things, this might be that it might be lead you to go over and have a chat with them or call your response team out. And I've shown it to a few people, and there's been a lot of interest. So hopefully that will pick up and come off. But I'm doing some designing some training courses for different companies, security companies. It's bits and pieces, but I think once it picks up,
are you sole trader then, or you?
Yeah, I've set myself up as a sole trader again. which has been interesting because the wife said, oh, because she's retired because I'm the original toy boy, believe it or not.
Right.
So she's a little bit older than me. So she's retired. But she said, well, we'll have to use my allowance on the caravan. So we've got self-assessment. So we've got two business accounts going, one for the caravan, one for the for my side of it. So it's like, yeah.
I will send you some links. I've got a couple of people on my services site who are always looking for trainers across the country, etc., etc. So I'm
happy to travel. I'm really am happy to travel.
Yeah.
Obviously, I live. This is a beautiful place to live, but it's the back end of beyond when it comes to looking for work. So it's got to be worth my while to go and do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I would say is Guardian Jobs is a very good platform for people with our skill set, and there are a lot of jobs there within public and private sector. I shouldn't really be promoting them because they never give me any work, but they are very good. They're very good for charities. There's always charity, they're looking for people, etc. So, but no, and I will send you the links for xjobservices.com, and you can stick your caravan on there, and we'll put that out through our groups. And who knows, you might end up getting a second van or whatever, and all of a sudden you've got an empire, Rodney. Yeah. I've got another little thing coming up. I'm being proposed as a trustee for the Maritime Volunteer Service. Right.
Which came out of the RNLX, something like that, which was a reserve, naval reserve thing, but it's now a charity that does training for maritime stuff.
Oh, cool.
So they're based in where I am, literally around the corner, and it's great for learning all your maritime navigation and RYA courses.
Oh,
but
cool.
we do a lot of work with cadets, so naval cadets, army cadets. I didn't realise there were so many different types of cadets out there, but we do a lot of that, and special needs, take them out on the boat, and it's one of, I think, only 2 boats in the country that can do funerals at sea, because there's only 3 locations that you can do funerals at sea.
Who knew?
And one of them's about 8-9 miles off of New Haven somewhere. So,
wow. Well, look, I've really enjoyed our chat today. You said when we started talking the other week, it's like, I don't think I've got anything to say. Well, you've done well. You've done well in an hour and a half. I think we've probably got another hour and a half in us. But before we go any further, I'd just like to ask you this question, which will resonate with you. Have you got anything to add, alter, or correct in relation to the statement that you've made today?
No, I haven't. If I've upset anybody, that's not me. I don't mean to upset. I mean, my views are, I try and make them as rounded as I can, because I am fully understanding of everybody's outlook.
Me too.
And and I don't ever, if I ever upset anybody, please accept my apologies, or give me a ring, or contact me on LinkedIn or whatever, and we'll talk about it. And I'll discuss stuff. And I think everybody's got to have a viewpoint, and stuff's got to be spoken about. It can't just be hidden away and be that elephant in the room. Stuff's got to be spoken about, and if it's not, it causes problems.
And I don't think for 1 minute that we've offended anybody. I think the fact is, if they're honest to themselves, they'll understand what we're talking about. So I wouldn't worry about it. Mate, I've really enjoyed our chat. You've got my details and my number. If I can help you in any way, please let me know. Have a look at Guardian Jobs. You'll be surprised what you see there. They've got a great platform. But thank you so much for your time, and it's been great speaking to you.
It's been great talking to you. If you want to talk to me again, please give me a shout.
No, I will do, mate. And if you've got people that you think, they'd do well, then just put them forward, because it's about these conversational pieces that there's not enough talking. That's the bottom line. We don't talk enough, and it's about making sure that our accounts are preserved in history forever and ever. Amen.
Yeah. Well done. You do a great job anyway, Paul.
Thanks, mate. God bless you.
Job.
All right.
Yeah. So, all right, matey.
I'll speak to you soon.
Shake your hand.
Yeah, shake your hand. All right, mate. God bless. Cheers. Be
All
good.
the best, mate.
Bye.
Be
bye.
safe out there.
And you.
Laters.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of X Job Downloaded. Please like, follow, and share. Your support is invaluable. Thank you.